When I was 3, I was adopted by an African-American family, Clarence and Undine Mack, who lived here in Los Angeles. My Asian friends would say, "Wow, you look like us, but you don't act like us." My black friends would then look at me and said, "You act like us, but you don't look like us." The magic bullet is each one of us, but it begins with us being willing to reach out, get out of our comfort zone, and try to understand and build a relationship with people we don't know.
이 콘텐츠는 아시안 증오범죄 근절 프로그램의 일환으로 캘리포니아주에서 지원받아 제작되었습니다.
Hi, my name is Emil Mack. I was born in Seoul, South Korea in 1957. I was taken to an orphanage when I was very young because my mother couldn't take care of me in what was Korea following the Korean War. Everything was devastated. So my life has been lived since then outside the world I was born. When I was 3, I was adopted by an African-American family, Clarence and Undine Mack, who lived here in Los Angeles in the part of the city called South Central. So, being Korean, growing up in a black family, I had often the issue of, what are you? What is your identity? And I often will say that my identity was from the people that were around me, the people I lived with. So, to me, when I was young, I'm black. And that came through to my friends, my Asian friends, my black friends. My Asian friends would say, "Wow, you look like us, but you don't act like us." My black friends would then look at me and said, "You act like us, but you don't look like us." So it was interesting for me. My adopted parents, they were very cosmopolitan, and what I mean by that is they had friends of all ethnicities. So when I was young, I was surrounded by people who were black, white, Asian, Latino. So I learned from my parents also about discrimination. Being black, they had stories through their life where they encountered this. They shared and really tried to impress upon me, no matter what you encounter in life, you keep moving forward. Don't let anything stop you. Because in our family, my mom's mother, who was black, she, at the turn of the 20th century, went to college and was a teacher, which was really unheard of at the time. The other part of me is the part where I lived as a kid, and that involved gangs. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and when I was a child, the gangs were just beginning to flourish, and it was a very violent and very physically hurtful time being a kid. And there were often times I even wondered if I was going to survive my childhood. I did survive, obviously, but my survival was partly due to one of my friends was the founder, the person that founded the Bloods gang. And he and I became friends. And he and other black friends helped me get through this time. And even through the course of my life, my black friends, when we would go someplace and we would encounter other blacks, they would look at them and say, "Hey, he's one of us. He's cool." So, moving to where I started with the Los Angeles Fire Department. I started my career in 1978. Mostly very good times on the LAFD, but some that weren't so good either. Because when I came on, we had race issues and discrimination. So the new chief came to me. I was in bureau commander in charge of a large section of the fire department and said, how do we change this? We need to change a century of culture, of people just, this is the way they live. This is how the fire department has always been. We sent out very strong messaging from the fire chief's office. We are changing. This is it. This is the end of the old culture. This is new, and it was relayed all the way up and down the chain of command. We put in training, not only human relations training, but we put that type of training into everything firefighters did. Whether promotional exams, new hires, it didn't matter. You went to a training, you were going to get some kind of human relations training. And then we changed policies and procedures that more or less kind of institutionalized the racism and the discrimination and inequity that the department faced. So my background really helped me with this, my interracial background. So I could empathize and understand where people are coming from, and we moved forward with this culture change, which was unprecedented in the history of the fire service. Then comes 1992. Civil unrest, riots. People call it both. But why? And because I come from the two communities, I got a little bit of an understanding. African Americans who have been treated terribly for over a century in this country, discriminated against, killed, murdered, all number of horrific things. When something happens that sparks the same old issue again, they rise up. And that's why they call it an unrest. They're just releasing their anger at all the century or more of poor treatment. For the Korean community, none of it made sense. Why are these, they call it a riot, it's just chaos. They have no history of the black community. They just see this is utter chaos, destruction, fires, and things like that. So that's where the two have the different terms for what happened in 92, unrest, riot. During that time, I was on the fire department, obviously, and I was recalled. And for that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I was on the streets, starting in South Central, going into downtown, and eventually ended up in Koreatown, trying to do what we could on the fires, trying to help people, but more trying to survive. I was just trying to do what I could and help me and my crew survive. Another significant little life event that occurred during the unrest riots was while I was out fighting fires that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and many of my firefighter friends were, my wife and I were getting married that Saturday. All my groomsmen, half of my guests, they were all out on fire trucks during the unrest, during the riots. And so we all got off that Friday, and the next day we had our wedding. Pretty amazing. The other thing that on the fire department, we also worked to not only build our better relations within the fire department, but we also want to expand. And a lot of what you hear me talking about is building relationships, because we are a planet, we are a country, we are a city of multiple ethnicities, multiple nationalities. We need to reach out and build bridges. So in the fire department, we started going globally. We started reaching out. A couple of places we went to. It was very nice to meet some of the presidents. So after I retired from the fire department, I continued a lot of the community work I did. So shortly after I joined the organization, we get a call, and this is kind of a little story. We get a call from a Korean liquor store in South Central Los Angeles in the Ladera Heights area. So we went down there. And on the sidewalk in front of that Korean store, we had the African American protesters, the Korean owners, we had LAPD, we had religious, and we had some political representatives there. And we began talking. And we knew that we couldn't resolve anything standing on the sidewalk, so we set up a meeting. And at the meeting, we were able to come to some agreement. And seeing that we were able to do something, we said, let's see if we can even stretch this a little bit further and see if we can start building some relationships here. So we had a dinner. We said, what about a dinner? And both sides agreed. So in Koreatown, we had African American protesters, the Korean Grocers Association, store owners, and we had us, obviously, the Federation. And we began talking. And by the end of that, they started bonding because now they finally listened to each other, had some understanding of each other. So what I will close in is, what do? For race relations, there's no magic bullet from person on high saying everyone get along. The magic bullet is each one of us. It's you, it's me, it's a person you don't know. Because only when we begin reaching out to someone that is quite different than us and seeing that, hey, we can talk to them, we can build a relationship with them. We may not understand them at first, but as we talk, we will understand them, just like we did at that dinner. But it begins with us being willing to reach out, get out of our comfort zone, and try to understand and build a relationship with people we don't know. So, through my life, I've been fortunate to have these opportunities to try to do this. Now I just simply ask that we all try to do it. Thank you.
이 콘텐츠는 아시안 증오범죄 근절 프로그램의 일환으로 캘리포니아주에서 지원받아 제작되었습니다.